Good morning. Good morning. Benjamin Garcia filling in on Fox Sports 910 a.m. for the vacationing Jody Ayler, who will be back Tuesday on The Drive. We got a million things to sort through, and we only got an hour left. You know, I have always been someone who has lived in the present. I have never been someone that has went back. I am a front view, not a rear view mirror kind of guy. I am looking forward, never going backwards. That's how I've consumed my sports. That's how I consume my life. I don't like to think about what has been. I want to think about, okay, what's next? Which to a fault of my own, or maybe at times to my benefit. And here's what I mean by that. It seems like everyone else focusing on the Arizona Cardinals is living in the past. They're living in the past. Because evidently so, NFL agents vote the Cardinals as one of the most unstable franchises in football. Now, to be honest, to be fair, I would agree with these agents if this was written a year and a half ago. Under the previous regime, Steve Keim, Cliff Kingsbury, without a shadow of doubt, I would also vote this organization being, if not one of the most unstable organization in the NFL. Potentially one of the most unstable organizations in all of sports. That's how bad they were. You had the Steve Wilkes incident. We're still dealing with repercussions of that. We're still dealing with consequences from that. Steve Keim, DUIs, getting in trouble, being suspended. Cliff Kingsbury running Camp Cliff at training camp. We had snack breaks. We had phone breaks. It was a joke of an organization. But now, you want to label the Cardinals one of the most unstable organizations in the NFL still? What world are you living in? It feels like to me, no one has paid attention to the Arizona Cardinals in the past 15, 16, 17 months. No one has paid attention to the Arizona Cardinals in the past year and a half. This is a top to bottom different organization. So when I see agents ranking them one of the most unstable franchises in football, it is clearly agents that are not doing their job correctly and are not staying up on current events. Because the Steve Keim, Cliff Kingsbury era continues to do a number on the PR of the Arizona Cardinals. Why is everyone skimming over the chapter where Michael Bidwell, who had many issues of his own, kicked those guys right out the door? His best buddy, Steve Keim, his right-hand man. Steve Keim kicked him right out the door. Very nicely fired him. Made it seem like it was more of a parting of ways, but there's a reason Steve Keim doesn't have a job and never will get another job as a general manager in the NFL. Kicked Cliff Kingsbury out the door for being a beta male head coach. Oh, and also on top of that, the Cardinals have gotten rid of every draft pick of note outside of Kyler Murray and Trey McBride that was drafted under Steve Keim. This team was a tire fire when Steve Keim was the general manager. But why is everyone still paying attention to that, Cardinals? What are they doing? Why aren't we looking at the present and looking through the windshield? Why are we still looking through our rear view mirror of what this team used to be? Because they're not there anymore. Monty Ossenfort, real deal general manager. Find a bust in Monty Ossenfort's 2023 NFL draft. Find a bust. Every single player justified where they were picked. Every single player contributed to where their round picked had them. All of them contributed. All of them. And now you want to tell me Monty Ossenfort is unstable? And even more crazy to me, a guy that proved me wrong. I didn't love the Jonathan Gannon hire when it happened, but I'm open to admitting when I'm wrong. Jonathan Gannon has been a slam dunk. But anything above Cliff Kingsbury feels like a slam dunk. But even more so, He's went above and beyond. This team, with Cliff Kingsbury at the helm, had zero accountability, zero leadership, zero maturity. Led the NFL in penalties. That's how much of a lackluster team they were. That's how much they weren't taken seriously. Fell off a cliff every second half of the season because Cliff Kingsbury couldn't adapt and overcome. Couldn't figure out new things to run. Constantly running the same plays. Jonathan Gannon, maturity, leadership, accountability. You're late to a meeting, you're going to get fined. How many player interviews do we seriously need? James Conner, Kelvin Beachum, whoever it is on this team that was on the pre-Cliff Kingsbury era, or the Cliff Kingsbury era, was on those teams that are on the same team now with Jonathan Gannon. I have literally been in the press rooms. Greg Dortch has said it. James Conner has said it. It's just night and day. It's just a completely different atmosphere. There's accountability. There's maturity. Everyone is holding each other to a standard that Cliff Kingsbury never held them to. Oh, and the golden goose of it all, Kyler Murray. Do you really think that it's a coincidence that under new leadership, under a new head coach, Kyler Murray straightened up overnight? Kyler Murray became more mature and has become 1,000 times the leader he was on the Cliff Kingsbury team. You think it's just a coincidence? You think it's just a coincidence that happened, NFL agents? You think it's just a coincidence that people that voted on this, that as soon as Kyler Murray had actual stability at the head coach position, that he started to mature? That he had a leader? No, that's because the old regime was so god-awful at their job. One agent even went as so far to say, the Kyler Murray extension is why they are stuck. Why give Kyler that extension and quickly fire the head coach who wanted him and the GM who drafted him? You can't fire the quarterback. Kyler Murray, if he does what we all believe he's going to do, has the best bargain at quarterback contract in the NFL. The best bargain. Look at the top paid quarterbacks in the NFL. If Kyler Murray is a bona fide top 8 to top 10 quarterback in the NFL this year, which I believe is being very realistic for what Kyler Murray can do this year. If Kyler Murray can show out in this offense and drag this team to be a competitive playoff contender, he has one of the most bargain budget contracts in the NFL. So these agents coming after the contract of Kyler Murray, which is nonsense for the play that Kyler Murray has put on the field. He's an exceptional quarterback, especially when supported, and he's going to show that this year. But to continue to condemn the Arizona Cardinals for the sins of Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury is malpractice, it's disingenuous, and it's people who have not been kept up on the current events of the Arizona Cardinals. Because Jonathan Gannon and Monty Austinfort have this team humming, and they might not make the playoffs this year. They've still got a little bit of lack of talent that they're coaching up. But they will absolutely be, for years to come, a competent organization. So not only are they not currently one of the most unstable organizations in the NFL, in my opinion, they are one of the most stable organizations in the NFL under this new regime.